It's been nearly a month since the first coronavirus vaccine became available to the public. The UK led the way with its approval of the inoculation by Pfizer and BioNTech. Now Britain is pushing ahead with the distribution of another formula developed at home by AstraZeneca and Oxford University.
Well, the vaccine means everything to me. I mean, to my mind, it's the only way of getting back to a bit of normal life. You know, this virus is terrible, isn't it?
The UK has ordered 100 million doses of the vaccine, which is cheaper and easier to store than its rivals. That's enough for 75% of its population. And it comes at a pivotal time. 2.6 million people have tested positive for the virus in the UK, and 75,000 of them have died. Now health authorities have detected a new strain of the virus that's even more contagious, which could lead to stricter lockdowns.
Whereas the old Tier 3 was able to contain the old variant, that is proving increasingly difficult in all parts of the country.
Germany is also expected to extend school and business closures to the end of the month. That's as daily deaths reached 1,000 and total cases neared 1.8 million.
These days and these weeks, there's nothing to gloss over, are difficult times for our country, and that is going to last for a good while yet.
Meanwhile, the US has stumbled in its rollout of immunizations as deaths surged past 350,000 this week. So far, it's administered around 4 million shots, well short of its goal of 20 million by the end of 2020. To speed things up and stretch supplies further, the government's considering giving some people half the dose of the Moderna vaccine. Health officials say that would be enough to protect those aged 18 to 55 and give the US a fighting chance against a virus it's so far been unable to contain. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Well, for more, let's go to Doctor Muhammad Munir. He's a virologist at Lancaster University. Welcome back to the program, Doctor, and a Happy New Year to you. Now, there's more good news on the vaccine front with this Oxford University and AstraZeneca vaccine now being rolled out in the UK. But there's also a bit of confusion and worry now that the British government says it'll be delaying the distribution of the second dose of both vaccines by up to 12 weeks. And we know you and I have spoken about the fact that initially people were told they'll be receiving it 3 weeks after the initial dose. Can you tell me, is there reason to be worried by this delay? The government is saying that it wants to get the first dose to as many people as possible, which is why they're changing their guidance.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oscar, for having me on the show, and Happy New Year. I fully understand, and everybody do endorse that we are in a terrible situation, particularly in the UK. Therefore, there is an unprecedented need to roll out the vaccine to as many people as possible. But yet, one fact we cannot really deny is that you cannot test any of the untested hypotheses into the larger population. Both trials for AstraZeneca as well as the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccines have been conducted with 3 weeks apart second dose. And if we're going to change that one to a 12-week gap, that's going to certainly bring in some real complication. And one of the complications would be the poor immune responses by the first dose, because second dose is absolutely critical for inducing high level of antibodies if it is given properly at the proper time. So certainly the challenges are lying ahead, and we don't really have the scientific data to back up the second dose after 12 weeks.
Meanwhile, some European lawmakers are criticising the European Union for what they say is the slow rollout of vaccines on the continent. And it does seem to be the case, because while the US has administered more than 4 million doses of vaccines and the UK has exceeded the 1 million mark, Germany has only managed to distribute 238,000 doses or thereabouts, and France just around 350. Why are EU nations falling behind?
I think, Oscar, this is the most critical question, and I've been saying this one before, and probably we have discussed this one, is that we are in a very strange situation. We've never been in the living history in this unprecedented need to have the vaccines. And I think the topmost agenda should have been that all the three main regulatory bodies, WHO, FDA, and European Medicine Agency, should have been assessing the data collectively and then making the statement all together, because the data that has been used to approve the vaccine either in FDA or in the UK is not going to change anything in terms of assessment by the European Medicine Agency. So I think this is certainly delaying the whole process, but at the same time probably there are internal logistic challenges that are creating a lot of problems. I mean, the vaccine rolling out in the EU at the moment is negligible and should have been a lot better than what it is at the moment.
Now, as people wait for these vaccines, people in Germany, France and the UK are bracing for more restrictions on their economies in the face of a more contagious strain of coronavirus. How worried are you by this mutation? And should we see a return to perhaps some of the tougher restrictions that we saw early last year?
Prospect in the whole Europe is very grim. I mean, taking the example of the UK, we are having more than 50,000 cases in a 7-day in a row, and today we have more than 58,000 new cases within 24 hours. We never seen that number since the start of this pandemic. So this means the overall situation is worse. And just to add into that, the New Year and the Christmas spike are not fully integrated into these numbers. So this means the current restrictions that we are putting in place are insufficient. And if we don't really follow even more restrictive measures, which probably are going to be announced here in the UK tonight, then that means that this new strain will take the whole of the Europe onto its knee.
We're certainly not over the worst of it, it seems. But Muhammad Munir, thank you again for joining us on the program.